Let's awaken our presence within our own being, within this body, this heart, this mind, that we refer to, that we find our grounding in. And as well, finding our grounding in the earth, presence with the earth, with the sky, with the air, with the warmth, with the life around us. And as we bring this presencing to a sense of being at home within being ourselves, being the earth, being life around us, presence within that whole field, that whole flow. We can honor our roots, our ancestors, and honoring our ancestors on this place on earth where we sit. Those human beings who lived here and stewarded this land, here in Chichaga, Montreal, the Kyankahaga people, the Mohawks, and other indigenous peoples who met and were nourished by this land and did different kinds of exchanges and communications with many peoples who gathered here. These waters were a place of travel, of arrival and departure. And meeting place, gathering, sharing ideas, sharing cultures. And continue to be so. Many different peoples arriving here, and then you're at the place where you're living too. If that's not Montreal, just honoring. I invite you to honor the history of the earth. Not only the human history, but the geological changes, this deep sense of deep time. Change, evolution, which we know within the body. These bodies that we call me or mine have come into being through many different conditions over long periods of time and are supported in this moment by many different conditions. And we share that, although we see ourselves as separate. We see ourselves as individuals in our common way of understanding who we are. It is a deeper truth which holds the truth of our distinctiveness and uniqueness. It's a deeper truth, a more pervasive truth that we have so much common ground. We breathe the same air, we drink the water, we're nourished by the earth. The quality of our hearts and minds and awareness is so similar. The essence is the same, that clarity of just knowing this moment as it arises and passes away. That simple knowing we share that. And then how we perceive it may be different according to the different conditioning factors. So as we gather here, we can find our common ground. Welcome one another to this space of Sangha, virtual Sangha, cyber Sangha. Knowing that all of us are breathing together. All of us are feeling the support of the earth beneath the body. All of us are feeling the touch of the air on our skin. All of us are hearing, unless there's an impediment to hearing. But all of us are, unless there's an impediment, are hearing sounds come and go. Perhaps traffic, perhaps church bells, perhaps people living in our living space in another room or in a detached place or on the street. And all of us have come here with an intention. Maybe touching into that intention. What motivated you to come here? And feeling the goodness of that intention, honoring the goodness of that intention. So it's good to be with you, dear friends. I'd like to share a few thoughts with you before we move into sitting. I've been attending since Friday a very lovely kind of mini retreat with Ajahn Suchito, who I feel to be one of my heart teachers. He's a monk in the Thai forest tradition. And he very much emphasizes in his teaching the embodied nature of awareness. And this retreat, and I haven't really, so please, I'm going to ask your kind indulgence and sympathy, because I haven't really put these ideas into my own understanding. I'm just integrating them as I speak. But the retreat is called The Sacred Cosmos. And some of the ideas that he was sharing and exploring with us are this, the unity, the interwovenness of all of our being as human beings, as other life forms, and also earth, water, air, the whole cosmos, that we all have this common ground of life, the energy of life, which we can discover within ourselves as a ground of being, our common ground. And we have the common, we have the sort of using common in a different way. We have the more conditioned cultural understanding of ourselves as individuals living within a certain context, within the world. In a way, we make ourselves into an object, living in a space where there are objects around us. And And so this whole sense of subject object, that I'm the subject and I'm experiencing um, the objects around me, and in a way I make myself an object. This body becomes an object, and yet at the same time there's an I who is experiencing this object. So immediately I am dividing. I'm dividing uh, my mind. The mind becomes divided into, the subject, the experiencer, and that which is being experienced, which, I make my body into something that I experience. So it becomes, when we actually reflect on it, it becomes um, a kind of a something that is absurd, because how can we be the experiencer and the object at the same time? So meditation, and the way that Ajahn Sucitto is talking about meditation, a way of coming back to the wholeness of being, the wholeness of this being, which is our base, and the wholeness of being, in which this sense of, this body, this mind, this heart, we don't cut it out of the fabric of which it is a part. So just breathing, we are of course reminded that this body is deeply connected with the um, the matrix of life around us, the water, the support of the earth, the food that we eat, the warmth of the air that is necessary for our life, reminds us that our life is intimately part of the matrix of life around us and within us. And so what Ajahn was really emphasizing, one of the things that he was emphasizing, was how we create a world of perception with words in which everything is discrete and separate, and that has a usefulness. And our culture, which is a very individualistic culture and rewards intellectual understanding, reinforces that way of perceiving a world that is in which there are separate objects, and we quantify and measure and compare and contrast the impact of different things on one another, and what is not so validated and valued is the inner experience, which is the experience of the heart, of chitta, and the Buddha talked, it talked about mindfulness of this inner experience as really, he really emphasized it in in many ways in the teachings on mindfulness, that that this inner experience, which is direct and which is not quantifiable, not um, um, things kind of separating one thing separate and distinct from another. There things flow into each other. So feeling, for example, the inner feelings of just what is the energy in the body right now. And maybe you can just take a moment to investigate, to inquire within yourself. What is the quality of the energy of in the body right now? So we feel sensations, and that is a way that we in which the world comes into being in our consciousness, feeling the pressure of what we're sitting on, seeing the shapes and colors and forms, light and dark around us, unless there's an impediment to seeing, hearing sounds come and go, and so we feel those outer experiences, and the energy, the inner energy of the body is how is that being received? Is that being known as agreeable, as disagreeable? Is there a quality of heart which is open, or is there a quality of heart which is defended, anxious? And seeing how mindfulness can engage with those different energies of our inner experience. And what happens as mindfulness engages? Perhaps noticing if the heart feels contracted and closed and defended. And bringing a quality of openness, interest. So moving just as you feel ready into a more focused and formal sitting. So changing your posture, if that's something you'd like to do, or turning off the camera, or shifting away from the screen. So, inviting awareness to a sense of the whole body in whatever posture you may be. Feeling that support of the earth. Feeling the alignment and straightness of the spine, and bringing some energy to that. And I invite you to explore opening the awareness to a sense of the whole body. Knowing the quality of energy in the body, energetically feeling the body in the fullness, however it's comported, opening up the awareness, not narrowing down, inviting this exploration if you're used to focusing on a particular point, seeing what happens when we open up and bring a more spacious, inclusive, whole body awareness. There may be a kind of a pull of the attention to a particular place in the body where there's a contraction. And inviting the attention to come back, to include that particular contraction or intensity of sensation, or perhaps a coloring of mood, a sense of heaviness or sadness or lightness, whatever it may be, into a larger framework. And letting the awareness abide in this space, a space which knows sound arising in consciousness. So the sound which we think of as out there is known as an inner experience, an inner perception arising in consciousness. Thoughts may arise. And we can know that thoughts arise in a space. The thoughts are not the mind. The thoughts arise in the space of awareness in the mind. And there's a knowing of the thoughts that comes and goes. And the ground of openness and awareness allows the thoughts to move through, doesn't cling, doesn't grasp thoughts as me and mine. See how that is for you. Maybe the mind does grasp thoughts sometimes. That's okay. It's not wrong. There are no mistakes or wrong things to do. It's just what happens and being aware of what happens. When we get caught in thoughts and stories, and the mind identifies with these and imagines that they are reality, we get lost in a world of separateness, separation, objects, distance, difference. Touching into the flow of energy in the body, awareness, openness. We touch into our common ground, that which is shared with all life. Opening up our view in this way, simply keeping a sense of awareness in the whole body. A sense of the body as being not something solid with a hard edge, but something permeable, interdependent, alive, part of life. Brings us to an embodied sense of equanimity. We may feel a twinge of soreness, contraction in the body. And there's a larger context in which it is known. It's not the whole picture. There's space for it to be felt, received, known as a changing, flowing phenomena. Simply opening up our meditation to the whole body. Can bring us to this embodied equanimity. This too can manifest. This too can arise and pass away. This too can be received without grasping or resistance. This thought, this memory, As we come to the end of our sit, our, our practice, formal practice, and let's collect into our space with love and compassion all those beings that we care about, that we carry in our hearts. Giving a few minutes just to open the door of your heart, the door of your mind heart. See who is asking to be remembered, supported, loved, cared for, and offering the blessings of our practice to those beings, human and non-human, sentient, and all of the earth forms which flow through our sentient life. Rocks, water, air. These two become part of our sentient bodies, so they are a part of our sentient world. They're not dead matter. Everything is alive. Everything is a part of our being, our interdependent being. Offering the blessings, the goodness of our practice, and the blessings and the goodness of our lives. May all beings be well. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be free. So, I didn't leave a lot of time for. Let me turn off the recording.